Kron Gracie is probably one loss away from getting kicked out of the UFC. When he signed with the UFC, he had a ton of hype surrounding him since he's the son of the legendary Rickson Gracie and the grandson of BJJ founder Helio Gracie. Everyone expected him to achieve big things in the sport, but unfortunately, his MMA journey hasn't matched the grandeur of his lineage. So how did it all fall apart? Following a successful career in submission grappling, Kron Gracie started his MMA journey at Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, where he joined forces with MMA royalties Nick and Nate Diaz. In his first 4 fights, Kron put on clinics of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mastery on display, effortlessly dismantling his opponents and submitting each and every one of them. His debut win came against Kim Hyung-soo thanks to an armbar. In his second MMA fight, Kron took out Asen Yamamoto with a triangle choke. Gracie faced a tougher test in his third MMA bout against the experienced Hideo Tokoro, but he still managed to display his grappling pedigree by securing a rear naked choke and cutting off Tokoro's blood supply in under 10 minutes.
Now it's under 23 seconds left. That's it.
Gracie won his next fight with another rear naked choke in 2016. After that, he took a break from fighting and didn't return until 2018, when he signed with the UFC and faced Alex Caceres in his debut, although he wasn't happy with the booking.
I actually wanted somebody better, and then they gave me this fight at the last minute. But ultimately, yeah, he has a lot of experience, and he has a lot of, like creativeness in his style and stuff. So it's going to be a good test,
Gracie made quick work of Caceres, outstriking him, taking him down, and choking him out in under half a round. Yet fans weren't impressed with his striking.
So before you pile on Kron, and you may turn out to be right, maybe Kron doesn't have the hands and the kicks. That's not what that fight was about. And if Kron wants to have, and if his family, and if that entire community wants to have a glorious moment, they earned it.
After a successful UFC debut, Gracie sought tougher competition, and his wish was granted with a showdown against seasoned veteran Cub Swanson.
I know you wanted a fight like this, like Cub Swanson level, for your debut. They didn't end up giving it to you. How happy were you that for the second fight they kind of gave you something more on the level of what you were hoping for?
I'm very grateful. I'm grateful that I get to test myself against Cub. I know he's lost a few fights, but really he's a tough opponent, and he lost only to really top guys. And I think it's going to be a good test.
The fight wasn't just a tough test, it turned out to be the toughest of his career. For 3 rounds, Swanson used his takedown defense to keep Gracie at bay and punish him on the feet to secure a comfortable decision win. He even had some advice for the prospect.
So my advice to him is travel, go be humble, go out and get as good as possible, train with everybody. You stick at one gym, you're not going to grow.
We're not going to grow too without your support, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Anyway, Gracie seemed to take Swanson's lesson to heart, stepping away from the cage for 4 years to focus on improving both his personal and professional life before making his return to the fight game in the summer of 2023.
What was the decision to ultimately come back?
I came back to get this fight shit popping again.
Did you ever feel like you didn't want to get it popping at any point?
No, I feel like they stopped the world, and I had to make certain moves in my life, and now we're here.
When asked about the strides he's made during his time away, Gracie had this to say.
Well, now I know how to chop wood and shovel snow a lot better.
That's what you spent a lot of time doing?
Yeah.
Are you like living out in the bush a little bit now?
Yep.
You like that?
Yep.
Though Gracie sharpened his skills during his hiatus, the time away showed its downside against Charles Jourdain, as ring rust became a noticeable factor. The fight was hyped as a classic striker versus grappler clash between the Canadian knockout artist and the Brazilian jiu-jitsu specialist. However, many were surprised by how little striking Gracie showcased. The Brazilian ultimately ended up losing by decision, and Dana White was far from pleased with his performance.
I like Kron a lot, and he's a good kid. he came in very limited tonight, very limited. You know, it was like coming out of a time capsule in 1995, you know what I mean? Tough way to try to win a fight these days.
Gracie took to Instagram to blame his loss on poor advice. He said, "In a lifetime of fighting, it's always been a fight to the death. I understood the situation and was willing to limit myself. That being said, I threw no punches because of bad advice and tried to please the jiu-jitsu community 2 days before my fight. First fight in my life, I didn't throw a punch, going back to my old ways." The loss sidelined Gracie for a year and a half. When he returned, he aimed for a comeback against one of the featherweight division's toughest fighters, Bryce Mitchell.
So what do you make of his skill set as a whole?
I think from what I can see on camera, he looks like he's got good skills. You know, he's looking like he's always trying to take the fight to the ground, and he's a good grappler. It's always difficult to see what happens when I get in there with somebody, because so far, generally people fight me a lot differently than they fight in their videos. So you never know like how somebody's gonna prepare, if he's gonna come at me or if he's gonna run away from me. Those things we're gonna see on the day of the fight.
On fight night, Gracie found Mitchell tougher than expected as the American dominated with ground and pound, and then ended the fight with a brutal slam and sharp elbow strikes for the knockout win. With his most recent loss, Gracie's UFC future hangs by a thread. However, his name value might earn him another shot to turn things around. The question is, can he cash onto a potential opportunity to redeem himself? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Want to watch the story of another Brazilian icon? Check out my breakdown of who's gotten better of Alexandre Pantoja since stepping into MMA.